The rain had been falling for hours in Port Harcourt, drumming heavily on the rusted zinc roof of the old compound house where Amara had grown up. The kind of rain that made the earth smell alive and old memories rise like ghosts. Amara stood by the window, her arms folded tightly across her chest. The night air was cool, but it could not quiet the storm inside her. She had returned home after 12 years. 12 years since the day her mother died. 12 years since she left the village with anger in her heart and questions nobody would answer. And 12 years since she had last seen her father. Or so she believed. Earlier that evening, Amara had gone to a small roadside bar not far from the river. It was the kind of place where fishermen, mechanics, and tired travelers gathered to forget their troubles. The lights were dim. High-life music floated lazily from an old speaker. She sat alone, sipping palm wine, trying to steady her mind. That was when she noticed him. He sat at the far corner, quiet and observant. A tall man with deep eyes and a beard touched with grey. Something about him felt familiar. He looked at her longer than strangers usually do. Finally, he stood and walked over. "Good evening," he said softly. "You look like someone who carries too many thoughts." Amara laughed faintly. "Is it that obvious?" His smile was calm, almost gentle. "My name is Daniel." "Amara," she replied. They talked for hours. About life. About loneliness. About how the past sometimes refuses to stay buried. Daniel spoke like a man who understood pain. When Amara told him she had returned to bury old memories, he simply nodded. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "we return home to find the truth waiting." His words sent a strange shiver through her. But she ignored it. The bar grew quieter as the night deepened. Rain began to fall outside. Daniel offered to walk her home. They walked through muddy streets under one umbrella, their shoulders touching. Amara hadn't felt this strangely safe with someone in years. When they reached the gate of her father's abandoned compound, she hesitated. "I didn't know anyone still lived here," Daniel said, looking around slowly. "My father used to," she replied. "But I haven't seen him since I was 16. Daniel's eyes darkened slightly. "What happened to him?" He shrugged. "I don't know. After my mother died, he disappeared. People said many things, none of them good." Daniel said nothing. The silence between them grew heavy. Then he looked at her with a warmth that made her chest tighten. "You must have been very lonely," he said. Something inside Amara cracked open. Years of grief. Years of anger. And suddenly she found herself leaning closer to him. The rain poured harder. Their faces were inches apart. She could feel his breath. Her heart pounded. For a moment, the world disappeared. Daniel lifted his hand gently and touched her cheek. Amara closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt wanted, understood. They were about to kiss. But then something caught her eye. A small object hanging from his neck. A carved wooden pendant. Amara froze. Her breath stopped. "No," she whispered. Daniel frowned. "What is it?" Her hands began to tremble. "That pendant, where did you get it?" Daniel touched it absent-mindedly. "I've had it for many years. It was carved for me by my wife before she..." Amara's voice broke violently. "My mother carved that." The rain suddenly felt ice cold. Daniel's face drained of color. "What did you say?" "My mother carved that pendant for my father before she died." Silence. Heavy. Terrifying silence. Daniel stared at her like a man seeing a ghost. "What was your mother's name?" he asked slowly. Amara felt the ground spinning beneath her. "Grace." Daniel staggered backward. The umbrella fell from his hand. Rain soaked them both. His voice came out as a broken whisper. Amara. Her heart shattered. No. But the truth had already arrived. Daniel was shaking. Amara, my daughter. The world collapsed. They stood in the rain like strangers trapped inside a nightmare. Amara's voice trembled violently. You are my father. Daniel nodded slowly, tears mixing with rain on his face. I left because I thought I had destroyed our family, he said painfully. After your mother died during childbirth, the villagers blamed me. I blamed myself. You abandoned me. I thought you would hate me. I did hate you, she cried. Daniel fell to his knees. I watched you grow from a distance, he whispered. I never had the courage to come close. Amara's chest tightened. You watched me. Yes, even tonight. When I saw you at the bar, I recognized your eyes immediately. Her mind spun. You knew, and still talked to me like that? I wanted to hear your voice, just once, he said. Amara covered her face and sobbed. The weight of what almost happened crushed her. If I hadn't seen that pendant. Daniel looked broken. Then we would have committed a sin that would haunt us forever. They sat together on the old veranda until morning. Not as strangers. Not as lovers. But as a father and daughter who had almost lost themselves to a cruel twist of fate. They talked until the sun rose. About the years they lost. About the pain they carried. About forgiveness. The night had nearly destroyed them. But it had also forced the truth into the light. And sometimes, truth arrives at the very last moment. Just before everything is lost.